Good morning, everyone. In the previous session of human resource management, I was explaining about the test and the various types of test that organization use to find out the skills, to find out the level of intelligence and other aspects of the candidates who have applied for the job. In this session, I am going to explain the interview, what is actually interview is, and what are the various types of interviews which are used by an organization to identify the talent and potentials of a candidate. Okay. So these tests and interview are very important because they are very important part of the selection procedure, and this is to some extent is a extension of the selection procedure. We are discussing two important steps of the selection procedure. First one is test, and now we will discuss about the interview. Okay, so let's begin the session. So first of all, what is interview? Interview, like any other step of the selection procedure, interview also helps the management to gather information regarding the specification of the candidate, so that the management can compare the candidate specification with the requirement of the job, so that they will be able to select the best candidate for the job. So the main objective of the interview process is to measure the applicants against the specific requirement of the job, to see whether a candidate is suitable for performing a particular type of job or not. So that is the basic objective of the interview process. So how does this interview process take place? This is basically a face-to-face conversation between the interviewer who is taking the interview and the interviewee, the person or the candidate who has applied for the job, who is giving an interview. So a question answer session will carry on, a face-to-face session will carry on between the interviewer and the interviewee. And in that session, the interviewer will ask many questions regarding the job, regarding his or her interest, qualifications, education, and many other things. So information can be obtained through this interview process. Information regarding the candidate, information regarding his interest, his opinion regarding the job, and various other aspects. So this is also a step, a process to find out, to collect information about the candidates. Okay, so before selecting a person for a job, before rejecting others for a particular job, it is very much necessary to have a face-to-face conversation with those candidates, so that the decision can be taken properly and the best out of all the candidates can be selected. So this is one of the most important steps of the selection procedure. So first of all, what does it actually do? First of all, it checks out the information which the candidate has provided in various tests, the information the candidate has provided in the application form or application blank. So here we can check those information by talking to the candidate directly, whether the person has misled the organization by giving some kind of misleading information or any other kind of information which is not authenticated. So those kind of information can be obtained. So we can simply check the information the candidate which he has provided with the actual information regarding the candidate. So it is also used for that purpose, and it is also used for collecting and obtaining some extra information which the candidate couldn't reveal in the application blank or various types of other tests or various other procedure. So it also helps in getting other information which is not mentioned in the application form or any other step of the selection procedure. Okay, and it also helps the management it provides an opportunity to the management to understand the candidate in a better way, because when we communicate with someone directly face to face, then the interaction can reveal many things about the candidate, about his or her personality, how the way he or she communicates, and various other things. So it helps the management to understand the candidate in a much better manner. Okay, Now, these interviews can also uh, be helpful in motivating the candidates so that they will be encouraged to do the job within the organization. They would be encouraged to accept the offer if the person is selected for the job. These interviews are also conducted to provide necessary information about the organization to the candidates regarding the job, regarding the various benefits provided under a job, salary, and various other incentives and benefits. So, in this interview process, not only the candidate shares his or her information, but the organization, the management also provides information regarding the job, regarding the organization, regarding the various aspects of the job to the candidate. So this is the actual interview process which is conducted under the selection procedure to get or obtain better information from the candidates. Okay. So there are various types of interviews, and organizations and companies select those interviews which they think will go accordance to the job. Means for different kinds of job, different types of interview process or different types of interview can be selected. So it basically depends upon the nature of the organization and the type of the job for which they are searching for a efficient and prospective candidate. Okay. So here you can see there are various types of interview. It can be divided into three major categories. First one is preliminary interview, second one is core interview, and the third one is decision making interview. So the interview processes, the various types of interviews can be divided into three major categories. So as the name suggests, first one, preliminary interview. These are the interviews which are conducted during the initial stages of the selection procedure to get some kind of basic information and some kind of information related to the candidate personal or background, or these kind of interviews, these kind of information are obtained through the preliminary interview. So basically preliminary interviews are conducted during the initial stages or initial steps of the selection procedure. Now, this preliminary interview can also be divided into two categories. First one is informal interview and the second one is the formal interview. So, formal interview can be conducted at any place by any person, and it is simply conducted to obtain some of the basic information regarding the name, address and other things, and some non-job related information like basic and non-job, like the address of the candidate, the telephone number of the candidate, email address, all those things. So these are those information which are not related to the job, but they are they are collected through the process of informal interview. Okay. This may also be considered as an interaction, the initial interaction between the candidate when a candidate applies for this job, asks about various aspects of the company and the job, about the vacancy and all. So this type of interview takes place during the initial interaction between the candidate and the management or the organization, where simple exchange of information takes place. The management collects some of the information, basic information regarding the candidate, and the candidate also collect or gather some of the information regarding the types of regarding the types of job which are vacant, what would be the salary structure, what kind of job which is vacant, what is the means in which category these jobs are in. So these kind of basic information are collected by the candidate. At the same time, he or she also provide some kind of information to the organization. Okay. The next type of preliminary interview is formal interview. So under this interview, the candidate is given the freedom to speak about himself or herself, about his likes and dislikes, whatever he or she likes, what are the interests, what are the hobbies, what do they expect from the organization in terms of salary and other aspects. They are given the freedom to speak about the level of knowledge they have, what are their studies, the knowledge related to any kind of job, the knowledge related to their studies, their education subjects, And they can also speak about their interest, expectations, and various other things, aspirations. So an opportunity is provided to the candidates so that they can speak freely about their likes, dislikes, about their knowledge, about their aspirations, interest, the areas in which they are very good at, even their experience in working while working in other companies. And in this type of interview, the management also provides some of the information to the candidates regarding the job, regarding the expectation from the expectation of the management in terms of an employee, what kind of employee they are expecting to uh, appoint. So these types of information are shared. So one of the important thing that you come across during this preliminary interview, that the information is actually exchanged. Some of the information is provided by the candidate, and the management also provides some important information to the candidate. So it does not mean that the candidate is a person who only provides information. Candidates also get some kind of information regarding the job, regarding the company, and other aspects of the basic aspects of the organization. So this is the first category of interview, that is called preliminary interview. The second one is the core interview. Okay. So core interview means, first of all, it is an interaction between the line executives and experts with the candidate. So they interact on the basis of the job knowledge, knowledge regarding the various aspects, the core areas in which the candidate has mentioned that he or she has particular qualification regarding those subjects. So there is an interaction between the experts and the candidate regarding the knowledge level, the skills the person possesses, the qualities, and everything. So it is a discussion regarding the in-depth discussion regarding the intelligence and knowledge of the candidate. So under core interview also, there are various types of interview. There are around 7 types of interviews that come under core interview. So the first one is the background information interview. So in application blank also, in application form, various types of background informations are collected, but there is always a chance that few of the information are missed in that section. So in this interview, usually the interviewer asks about background of the candidate, especially to collect those information which is not available in the application form. So the information which was sorry, the information which are missed in the application blank, so those kind of information are collected in the background information interview. So there is a normal discussion regarding the interest, hobbies, personal background like educational background, school and colleges in which the candidate has studied, the jobs, various types of jobs that he has worked with other companies. So all those things are discussed in the background information interview. The next one is job and probing interview. So this interview is basically aimed at testing the candidate's job knowledge. So usually what happens under this interview, the interviewer specifically asks the candidate regarding job knowledge, to what extent the candidate has knowledge regarding a particular job, regarding the areas, what are the areas in which the person is very strong at doing, what are the qualities, what are the areas the person is little bit weak in performing. Various aspects of the jobs are discussed. How many aspects of the job is actually known by the candidate, how to do a job, how to handle the various types of technicalities, what are the techniques used to perform a job. So these kind of information specifically related to the operations and execution of the job is asked under this job and probing interview. So in this interview, the candidates explain how to do a job, what are his strong areas, what are his weak areas, in which area he is little bit lagging behind, what are the areas he is very good at, what are the qualities, what are the capabilities, level of capability the person has which is necessary for doing the job. So these kind of informations are obtained in the job and probing interview. Okay. The next one is stress interview. Now this interview is conducted to find out to what extent the candidate is capable of managing the stress, handling the stress. So in this interview, the candidate are put under stress and strain so that the manager, the people who are taking the interview, they can observe the behavior of the candidate, to what level of they can observe the behavior of the candidate. They can see what kind of behavior the candidate has, whether the behavior changes, whether the person is not able to handle stress, what level of stress the person can easily handle, and what if the level of stress is increased, whether the candidate is even able to handle that higher level of stress or not. So these kind of things are revealed in this session. So what does the interviewer actually do? They keep on asking questions related to job, and some questions are completely unrelated to the job or the area of the specialization the candidate has. uh, Continuously interrupting the candidate while he or she is speaking to put him under stress, rejecting each and every opinion of the candidate, even if after providing proper answer, the candidate, if the candidate has provided the answer, the interviewer would take a long pause without even replying to it, as if the person has done something wrong. So these kind of various things are done by the interviewer so that they can put the candidate under stress and see how he or she behaves under stress, whether he is ready for the job because he or she handles the stress very well, or the person gets irritated, gets frustrated, gets angry, gets nervous. So these kind of behavior are observed under the stress interview. Okay. So the next type of interview is group discussion interview. So there are two types of group discussion interview. So first of all, in the first type of group discussion, what happens? A group of candidates are asked to be in one room, that is called an interview room or a conference room. So a group of people will go to one room, and a panel or few interviewers will be there, and one by one they will take interview of each candidate, and all the candidates will be in one room instead of waiting outside. All the candidates will be waiting in one room, and they will be waiting for their turn. So one by one, each and every candidate will be interviewed individually. So that is one form of group discussion. Another form of, because this form is considered as group discussion, because when we are taking interview, when an interview is conducted in front of the other candidates, they get to learn something, they get to prepare themselves, they get to understand what kind of interview is going on. So they ask questions to each and everyone. So that may be the that is the process of conducting group discussion interview. People will be sitting and they will be asking question one by one, or they can ask anybody at any point of time. So that is one type of group discussion interview. Now this type of interview actually saves time. It saves energy also, because at a time they are taking interview of many candidates, so it saves a lot of time. And the candidates may also feel comfortable because they are not alone with the interviewer. Many candidates, many fellow candidates are also with them. So it gives some kind of comfort level, relaxation, their nervousness decreases. So these kind of interview is conducted specifically to save time and to get more information from the candidates. The next type of group discussion is that where a group of people is asked to go to a conference hall, and in that conference hall a topic will be given to them, and the group is going to discuss about the topic. They are supposed to give their opinion, they are going to contradict with each other, discuss with each other, even argue with each other. So that is a group discussion, second type of group discussion. Now what the interviewer do? They observe the behavior of each and every candidate, how they take initiation, how they keep their opinions, speak their thoughts, speak their mind, what is to what extent they are polite towards other, to what extent they are paying attention to the opinions and statements of other, how interactive they are, how well they are presenting themselves, presenting their point of view and everything. So the various types of behavior of the candidates are observed by the interviewer. They simply observe how a candidate behaves in a group discussion, how he or she speaks about his or her opinion and point, even if they are arguing, how well they are arguing, whether they are being polite, whether they are being angry, frustrated, or there may be some candidates who are just willing, who are just waiting for a chance to speak, and others are not giving them chance, because you have to take initiation to give your opinion, to speak about your thoughts and everything. So that type of group discussion is also one type of interview which is conducted by the organization. So where a group of people will be observing the behavior and attitude, the opinion, how well they have understood the topic and case study. So that is one type of interview. Another one is formal and structured interview. So in this interview, all the formalities are strictly followed. Means the time are strictly set, the time limits when the interviews are going to be conducted, what should be the time period, means the length of the interview, the panel, how many number of people are going to be present in the panel, what should be their qualification, each and every detail of the interview must be very precise and specific, and the interview will be conducted in that manner also only. So formal and structured interview are very, we can say, they are strictly followed. Each and every rule and regulation are followed regarding the time of the interview, regarding the questions to be asked in the interview. So this is a very structured, everything is prepared in advance, and the interviewer are simply going to go through the structure regarding the various steps mentioned in the structured interview. Okay, the next one is panel interview. Usually what happens when a candidate applies for a job, when they have moved forward in the selection procedure, so they may be having specialization in different areas, knowledge regarding various other subjects and various other areas. So sometimes it becomes very difficult for one specialist to analyze and measure the knowledge and capability of the candidate of each and every area. So for that purpose, in order to properly measure the knowledge and the capability of the candidate, a panel is created. Now the panel has expert and specialized people in different areas, in different sections. So one may have specialization in HR, one may have finance, logistic, whatever may be related to. Some may have specialization in public relation, some may have specialization in, they may be part of human resource development department. So these kind of different kinds of specialists are part of the panel, and they ask questions regarding their specialization, and they measure the knowledge of the candidate, to what extent a candidate has knowledge over particular specialization or particular area. So that happens in the panel interview. Okay, now they may also invite a psychologist in the panel to observe the candidate. His or her psychology can be revealed, can be identified. So they can invite people having belonging to different disciplines also, like economics, psychology, any other sociology, so they can understand the attitude of the candidate. So under this interview, what happens when a panel takes an interview of a candidate, each and every panel person, each and every expert gives points to the candidates individually, and then whatever points are given by each and every panelist, then it will be added, and then it will be decided whether the candidate is going to move further in the selection process, or the candidate is going to be rejected. So each and every panelist give their point on an individual basis, on their individual judgment, how they feel about the candidate, how they have understood the behavior and performance of the candidate, what they feel about the performance, how they take the performance of the candidate, whether good or bad. So every panelist on an individual basis, they give point to the candidate. Okay, and the next one is the depth interview. So depth interview is basically conducted to uh, measure the level of knowledge a candidate has in one particular area. So they extensively ask questions regarding the knowledge and skills of the particular job. For example, a person has applied for a job in an advertising firm. The person has applied for in which he or she has to make advertisements or make promotion programs so that the product can be introduced to the public, the product can be become popular among the public. So in that area they need to measure the knowledge and skills level. So they will ask specifically regarding various types of advertisement, how to convince the consumer, what type of consumers, how to convince different types of consumers based on their personality, based on their behavior. So they simply ask detailed questions regarding the core areas of knowledge and skills, which is related to the job. Okay. They ask questions even about minute details and operations of the job. What method should be the best one? What are the difficulties are faced while doing this kind of job? So every detail of the job and what are the skills required to do a job properly and efficiently, such kind of questions are asked in this depth interview. Okay, and the last type of interview, that is decision making interview. So in this interview, a decision is taken whether to reject a candidate or select a candidate for the job. So this is one of the most important type of interview which usually takes place at the end of the selection procedure, because it is the time of either selection of a candidate or a rejection of the candidate. So in this interview, line managers interview the candidate for the purpose of decision making, that is whether to select or to reject. So a panel of line managers would be asking different types of questions to the candidate so that they can come to a conclusion that whether to select a candidate or to reject the candidate. So this may be some kind of informal type of interview where different line managers would be asking questions related to the job, related to the working environment, whether the candidate is acceptable towards the working environment. The HR manager would like to ask regarding the salary aspect, regarding the working hour, working condition, other benefits provided under a job. So they will simply ask about various aspects of the job, whether the person would be able to manage such kind of job or not, whether the person is willing to do the job or not, whether he is accepting the organization, the rules and regulations of the organization, whether the person is happy for the organization when he or she is selected. So those kind of questions are asked to see whether the person is mentally prepared for doing a job in this organization or not. Because some people may be very happy with the salary, but they don't want to work for long hours. They don't want to do night shift. So these kind of informations are obtained from the candidate about his or her preference, his or her acceptability towards the working hours, the shift basis and other things. So this is the final decision making interview. So after getting information about his or her opinion about the organization, even the line managers need to understand the aspirations of the candidate, because some candidates have very high aspirations. They want opportunities for becoming successful, for moving forward in the career, and those kind of candidates who are very ambitious, they always tend to leave the organization if they find better opportunities in other organization. So that kind of information can also be obtained in the decision making interview. So all those kind of information regarding the interest, regarding his or her acceptability towards the job, working condition and other aspects of the job are revealed in this interview. Okay, so this is the last type of interview. So In this session, I have explained about three basic major categories of interviews and what are the various types of interviews which come under different categories. Okay. In the next session, I am going to explain about a case study. I am going to explain a case to you. I will tell you how to solve the case and how to present the case. So next session, I'll be giving a case study. I will give two case study in the first unit related to the first unit, and then we will move on to the second unit. Okay. So that's it for today. We will meet in the next session. Thank you.